turn it over to Larry Kessler for our patient panel. As always, we, at tradition, begin and end ideas hearing from our patients.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'd like to call up Nieltje, Curtis, Erich, and John, and see if we have Jennifer on the screen, please. And we're bringing chairs up for you all. Jennifer, we started with you at the beginning, but we're not going to start with you. I'm going to end with you. Is that okay with you? That's fair. We're going to spend the last 20-ish minutes to a half hour talking with our patients, and they're going to talk with us about some of the things they've heard. And we've given them a very specific assignment to talk about some of the things that they've heard about in selected sessions. Oh, sorry. That we're asking them to talk. Do you guys have microphones? Oh. We need microphones. Thank you. So, thank you, Foco. We're going to ask each of them to talk about some of the sessions that we've heard from this week, what excited them about what they heard, and what other questions they have or what they'd like to see in the future in each of these areas. And we'll just walk right down the line. I'll start with Erich, ask these four panelists, and ask Jennifer, and we'll open it up for a couple of minutes as well. I've asked them to speak each for about 3 to 5 minutes, not longer than that. We don't want to keep you over our time. And I want to thank everybody who stayed this long with us. It's a long couple of days, enormous amount of information, and I'm sure everybody's a little tired, but there's always room to hear from our patients. Erich?
Thank you. There's so much. I came out here representing Home Dialysis United to interject the patient voice where I could, but also to learn to see what the innovations are for me and for all the patients that we've talked about throughout the whole time. So I'm going to be real quick, and that is I maybe felt a little arrogant because I've been using home dialysis since 2001, like good for me, right? But, I spend a lot of time in lobby days and chair sides talking to other patients. And, that's the furthest from their mind. And then we see today, the poll that Professor Silverstein showed that, patients don't really want innovation in home dialysis. They want to go for the brass ring. We all want to go for the brass ring. I wished my 2 transplants worked, and I'd love a 3rd transplant. But what do we do when we can't get to the brass ring? We have to settle for what are currently available while we wait and see for the international consortium to do all the wonderful things that Foco mentioned. And it is very enthusiastic. It gets your blood going. It's like, I can't wait. But it reminds me, about 7 years ago, I was at, it was in Baltimore, maybe it was a CMS Innovations Conference, and Dr. Chauveau-Roy was there talking about his implantable kidney. Well, that's a long time. A lot of people died, between that point and this point. So I guess I really don't have a message. I guess if I had my brass ring, as we develop as a consortium looks for more wearables, and wearables to me is just another name for home dialysis. Anytime I'm outside the center, wherever I put my hat is my home. And so, and I really look forward to, not having that 90 liters of dialysate that I had to have in my room, for the next time I come out here. So I guess what I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I didn't hear anything about anemia ESKD. So if we are going to just have, if we're going to go for the moon or for your, as far as we can, I would love the artificial kidney to also help to play a role in hemoglobin production. And, maybe that's another conference. We just never talked about that today. For me, I have 2 tracks, and for most of us, we have 2 tracks. We have to get over the hurdles of living with dialysis, and at that part of that hurdle is also affecting our anemia. And so we have to get over the anemia issue as well. So if we are going to have a consortium to make an implantable kidney, let's also put some whatever cells are necessary to help with the hemoglobin production. And I guess I'll just leave it at that. I'm very hopeful. I'm looking forward, but I'm very practical, and I'm going to stay on home dialysis. And the last thing with that I'll say is, as we do home and other ways to keep us living as well as we possibly can, it's about outcomes. I've always looked for my best outcome. almost every patient wants their best outcome. Many of them just don't know how to ask for their best outcome. So I want to leave you with that.
Excellent. Thank you, Erich. Nieltje.
So I'm Nieltje Gedney. I am a solo dialyzer for 9 years on hemodialysis, with CKD for the previous 20. But more important than that, I'm also the executive director for Home Dialyzers United and have been involved since 2014. And the thing that I want you to take away from that is that Home Dialyzers United made innovation part of our mission from the very beginning. We're all about innovation because we want patient choice. We want patients to have the ability to do the best treatment, the best outcomes possible. What? Okay. Sorry. Best treatments, the best outcomes possible for our as we manage. And yes, as Erich said, we want the brass ring. We do want implantable artificial kidneys. We want to return to a completely normal quality of life. But in the meantime, we also know that there's going to be many different types of innovation. And so we've taken a mission to really make sure that that is available to all patients. Currently, and I want to leave you with one thought, currently in the United States, the problem is that everything has been written, all of the regulations, conditions for coverage, the payment platforms have all been written for in-center dialysis. We have a motto, and that is that home dialysis is not in-center dialysis moved home. Just think about that.
Thank you, Nieltje.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Bayton.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Bayton. I am a resident of the District of Columbia. I'm also the current Director of Strategic Planning for Home Dialyzers United. I am a current transplant patient with about 3 years and 6 months under my belt so far. But I've also experienced every modality of treatment that there is, from in-center nocturnal, PD, and home hemodialysis. And so one of the reasons I really was thrilled about coming to this conference was to actually learn about the new innovations that are coming forward. Because as a transplant patient, I can tell you now, I am not ignorant of the realities that, there are strong possibilities that I may have to go back on dialysis at some point in time. Praying for 50 years or so, but I understand the realities. And so I want to be very conscious of what is going to be available to me. And the sessions that I particularly paid focus to were those that were presenting new and innovative ways of treating kidney disease in that ESRD stage 5. And I was also very, very impressed with the fact that patients were at the center of a lot of these conversations. And especially the area of quality of life. It's not just putting someone on a machine, dialyzing them for 3 or 4 hours, letting them go, but what does the patient do after that? How can they live their lives? So I was very, very thrilled about that. I'm not going to repeat anything that Erich said, and of course I'm not going to repeat anything where, the master of it all here knows. And so with that, I'm just going to end and pass it to Curtis.
Thank you, John. This is Curtis Warfield.
As Larry just said, I'm Curtis Warfield. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. Patient advocate for the National Kidney Foundation, also board member with Home Dialyzers United. It's good to have a little homecoming here. But to see things such as Kidney X moving forward and growing as it continues to make a positive impact on kidney disease, kidney health, and kidney innovation, it helps me in my focus in getting education out to my fellow kidney advocates, to the general public, and to even my doctors that I have to work with on a monthly and yearly basis. With the mindset of having that patient-centered information, it continues to give hope to the kidney community. As things become more patient-centered, know that it's always a two-way street. While you are helping us with the gifts that you have given us to live and to live longer, we can give back to you by helping you through using our voice on Capitol Hill through to help get funding, using our voice in patient groups to help bring more hope to what you are doing, and also to dispel the myths and to help bring up the trust that goes on in communities, especially communities of color, within dealing with the medical community. Also to give hope and conversate with the general public, because we need to get more information out about kidney disease and what it's doing to us, but also to bring that awareness out so they see the importance of kidney health and bringing more kidney awareness. And we're more than just a patient. We're a voice, and we're human. The doctors did not tell my parents, Daniel and Esther Warfield, many, 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 many years ago, congratulations, you have a patient. They said, congratulations, you have a son. So with that, let us help you. And we just ask that you also make a conscientious decision as you're doing your research to consider all ethnic communities in your research, in your trials, in your implementations of health. And then just kind of to end on this, as we help you, can you help us simplify some of your research terminology into a layman's terms, so as we go to the public? I can go back and say, Curtis, what did you learn? They said they can take a cell out and put a good one in. It makes my kidney better and I feel good. Or to, as Dr. Weston was saying, eat more raisins. It will help reduce acid reflux. So help us with that as we all go forward and make a better way for kidney health, kidney awareness in this kidney community and worldwide. Thank you.
Yesterday morning, we started our patient panel with Jennifer Jones, who's on with us virtually. And this will be the last patient voice we hear from today, although we will have a few minutes to open it up to the floor. Jennifer?
All right. Good afternoon again. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my perspectives at this symposium. What I failed to mention yesterday is that I am a member of the Executive Board of Directors for the American Association of Kidney Patients. And when it comes to advocacy, I am so passionate about it. That's why I am so honored. Like, it is a privilege for patients like us to be here. And just like Curtis said, I'm glad I'm not there in person, because I would have been kind of rude, because I was all the time like, what does this mean? What does that mean? I'm trying to figure out what is being understood. And yes, it would be a great benefit to us patients to get further clarification on what's being said during some of these sessions, because we're here because we want to be here, and we want to share and disseminate this information to other patients. It is so very crucial that we try to get more and more patients to participate in events like this. With that being said, in the world of medical innovation, so much of this discussion is dominated by important discussions about devices. But I think a lot of patients are also interested in a far wider view of innovation. This is why I want to comment on the session, what's new in using the gut to treat kidney failure. I want to thank Dr. Erich and Dr. Raj for their insightful presentations. I did my best to try to wrap my head around it, but I did have an idea due to my own gut issues. And my goal to achieve remission for my diagnosis of MPG and type 1 idiopathic. I have already learned a little bit about the gut microbiome and how it's connected to so many issues, including diabetes and autoimmune disease. Personally, I have incorporated more gut healthy foods into my diet. Now I'm going to make sure that I get enough fiber. I know that there are more studies that are needed for this, but it couldn't hurt, right? So, however, this is the first time that personally I have ever heard of colon-derived uremic solutes. I've never heard of what a uremic solute really was, but it's fascinating. I looked up a little bit about it, and I hope I'm correct, but I saw that uremic solutes contribute to cardiovascular disease, and if that's really the case, and other morbidities, is something that patients should definitely be aware of, especially if it's affected by the food that we eat, because the dialysis diet is something else for a lot of people. So I believe that's something that we definitely need to be aware of. I'm very excited about exploring probiotics and prebiotics because my nephrology team would not allow me to take an over-the-counter supplement for that because I wanted to try probiotics myself. But now I see that what could benefit kidney patients is a way more complex microbiome therapeutic, such as symbiotics. And I had no idea there was a such thing as generally engineered bacteria. It's all just so fascinating to me. And this is why it's so beneficial for us patients to be able to be in this type of space to learn such innovation and technology. But I did have two questions, and there is time for that. Can anyone tell me how closely researchers are working with industries to advance these type of innovations, and when should we expect to see more? And are there any major regulatory or clinical trial hurdles that you foresee for these types of innovations? And how can kidney patients get involved now to start raising awareness among elected leaders without these potential new treatment approaches?
Thank you, Jennifer. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Before I turn it over to Jonathan and Buddy to end the conference, is there any comments from the field or questions for our patients before we say goodbye? Voko, you look like you want to get up.
Well, I was looking for Steve.
Buddy, please.
I just want to address Jennifer's comment or question about how close. And I think so many of the academic groups, including our Center for Dialysis Innovation. Center for Dialysis Innovation is part of the University of Washington. And we realize that professors don't make devices for people. We can invent things, but somebody has to manufacture 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 of them, and that is industry. And so we have spun out a company. We call it Kuliana Technology. The Shuvo Roy, Bill Fazell group has spun out their company. And why do we do this? You know, we're not sitting here and saying, hey, we're going to get wealthy on a company. We're saying this is the only way we're going to get it to patients. And the company is focused on doing that. They have the energy. That's why they exist. And so I think we see more and more entrepreneurship in the academic communities, and it's very desirable. For 800 years, industry was one side and academia was another. And now people are realizing there's an excellent partnership between these two communities, different goals, but a common goal too. And so it was a great question, Jennifer, and thank you for your comments, and I hope that helps. It doesn't tell you how quickly we'll get these innovations to you, but it tells you we're trying.
And I'll come back and try and help you with one of your other questions in a minute, Jennifer. Go ahead.
Don West in Dallas. I just want to congratulate the patient panel and to encourage you to continue with your work. I can't imagine the courage that it takes for you to do the work that you're doing, not just within your community, but to come before a group like this and to speak truth to us. I really appreciate that, and please go forward with your work.
Steve?
Thank you. And just in further answer to Jennifer's question about what we can do to further the research, this comment, I think, relates to doctors and nurses and to patients. We are all too complacent with dialysis as it is now in the in-center environment. For the physicians, it's too easy to just send someone to IR, get an internal jugular catheter, have them set up to the dialysis unit, and then let them worry about trying to transfer them to the therapy they want, even if it's really home. So also we need to work better on training of our patients and education of the patients in late CKD to get ready for dialysis, to make those choices earlier and earlier. For patients especially, maybe just once a month, you should complain to the doctor or nurse about one thing that just drives you nuts about dialysis, what you don't like about it. And then also, by the way, do what you're doing here. Look for what possible answers are out there in the research area or in reality. Many products are not used by LDOs, are not thought of by physicians because they thought, well, it's too expensive or it's not already in the arranged equipment that we have. So not all the time, but just once a month, do that, and indicate that we're living with a solution that potentially has great chemical power. It's probably prescribed in the wrong frequency and length, being 3 times a week in 4 hours or less, but which has many aspects that are not satisfactory to the patients or the doctors, and involves a lot of stress and work. So, thank you. Just the answer.
Before I thank our patient panel, I want to make 3 comments. The first thing I want to do is address one thing that Jennifer said. Jennifer, you said, how can we be involved in moving the trials and the studies along? And I'll tell you that we at the Center for Dialysis Innovation are committed to patient involvement every step of the way, and I know many of our partners are too. It's not just us. There are other people out here. FOCA is a good example. There are others. We were fortunate enough, Barry Folkers and I were fortunate enough to visit the Netherlands this year and recognize that the folks in the Dutch kidney world are doing some of the same things. They're involving patients very early. So you should stay in touch with us. If you have questions, please feel free to contact us, and we'll be a conduit for you, your colleagues, to be part and parcel of the beginning of trials, trial design. Patient-centeredness means you get the patients involved as you're beginning, not at the end of the studies. So that's really critical to get us involved, so please do ask us and stay in touch. The second thing I'll comment on is, Erich, you're right. The brass ring, the silver ring, the gold ring, we need to be reaching for all of the rings because we know 2 things. First of all, we are not here at the solution at any point. And even if we were close, we've recognized that there's not one solution at the moment for everybody. There'll be different solutions because of a variety of characteristics, both culturally, biologically, in every way. But please push us to grab for all the rings we can. And finally, I was very touched by... I was touched by Curtis's comment that you're not just a patient, you're a voice. And that's what we hope to give you here. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Let's thank our panel.